Okay, Beyond the Gates fans. Yes, I know I'm a day late. Hear me out. Hear me out. Yesterday, all day was pretty much, cutting the grass, aka yard work, and from there, finished up just in time because starting around like 4 or 5 p.m., it was nonstop on and off rain and thunderstorms. So I wasn't able to upload this video, let alone record it without a crap ton of background noise. So I'm getting it done now, and trust and believe Wednesday through Friday, I do plan on having my episode reviews up on the days that the episodes air. So I'm just one episode behind, not like 3 or 4. So we're good. We're good. This is Beyond the Gates episode 94, if I'm not mistaken. Giving it a solid 9 out of 10. I enjoyed this one. Simply put, Nicole goes on her rampage, telling people off, and oh boy. Oh boy. All right, folks. Well, to start off, we have Vernon and Anita, and they're discussing, pretty much everything that's going on. Whether or not they did the right thing, sparing Martin by covering everything up. And Anita comforts Vernon, basically saying that, look at it this way. You did, because at least he's not in prison. And Vernon blames himself for Martin's nonstop nightmares and the guilt that's been bubbling up over 2 years. But yet again, his wife says that, look, we can all move forward now. And that's when Martin comes back into the house and says that he needs to see his mom, ASAP. But speaking of Nicole, she's at the hotel going to Ted's room. And he thinks like, oh, wow, hey, Nicole, but this is crazy, because wasn't the last time they seen each other in person when Ted grabbed her from strangling Dana at the diner? And he probably thinks, oh, wow, that's cooled off. Okay, how's it going? But no, yet again, she's confronting him over new secrets. But the thing is, she's like, what, you have so many secrets so you don't know which one I'm talking about? And she knows about what happened 2 years ago with Martin, Vernon, and the good old boys in the country. So the thing is, like I said, I got to give props to the writers, and Danny really seals the deal for me later in the episode. But I love how they wrote it in a way where everybody's reaction is understandable. And I'll get more into that later when I talk about Danny, when she talks to Martin and her parents about it. But yeah, it really does come across like, oh, Nicole is stuck up and whatnot. But at the end of the day, take away the psychiatry degrees and whatnot, take away the lies and the deception. This is a mother who didn't know her son was hurting for 2 years. And that's what hurt her. That's what hurts the most. So Ted pretty much tells Nicole about the fact that Martin could have died on the road that night and or gone to prison. And the thing is, she's just upset about everybody lying to her. And yet again, Ted's like, I protected our son. But the thing is, he didn't want to tell her about the surgery. And he didn't want to tell Martin about the surgery to make him feel worse. And it wasn't about you, Nicole. And remember, Martin didn't know, because when he went to, I forgot, was it Bill's? Yeah, it was Bill's office. And he came in and saw Elon, Joey, Bill, Vernon, Marcel, and Ted's like, you dragged my dad into this? And the thing is, yeah, he didn't know his dad had anything to do with it. So Nicole's like, nothing ever is about me. And the thing is, he calls her out for self-pitying, but she counters back, why did you even lie to me in the first place? And, well, Ted's like, well, your parents told me to. And she's like, did they hold a gun to your head? Did you think I'd turn on our son and turn him into jail? And Ted knows that she wouldn't do it. And the thing is, her father wanted everything to be contained. But she calls it cruel to deny Martin of his mother's love in that moment. And from there, she mentions how you would take Martin to your interactions with, Leslie, and keep him from being helped by me in that time of need. So just so you know, Ted, any chance that we had of getting back together, as slim as it was, is completely gone. But the thing is, he says that, well, I love you no matter what. And she just counters by saying that she's done and she's going to take the next steps. So she leaves, which we kind of know is divorce is looming very, very soon. Now, my thing is this. I get the anger, but is it really Ted's fault here? Because you got to think about it. These are I get it. These are Nicole's parents, but these are the Duprees. But I feel like the more we get into this show, the more she's going to find out about her parents, the more things that she's going to find out have been covered up and whatnot. And look, it is Nicole's vision of who her family is it's getting chipped away at week after week. And before long, she's going to come to realize that her family, her parents specifically, aren't who she grew up believing them to be. And I think she might show Ted a bit of grace. And I'm not, like she said, did they have a gun to your head? And Ted said no, but I think Ted and Bill both know better than to cross the Duprees. Because for all we know, and look, it didn't go this far, but it wouldn't surprise me if something happened where if Ted said, like, listen, Vernon, there's no way I can keep this from Nicole. How much do you like your practice down at the hospital? What? If you tell my daughter so much as a breath of what happened that night, I will make sure you will never operate in another hospital again. I'm not saying Vernon would go that far, but he would probably do that because this goes deeper than simply a father-in-law telling his son-in-law what to do, but preventing his daughter from knowing something so traumatic happened. So you got to look at, it's like Ted wanting to do what's best for his son, but at the same time, Vernon wanted to protect his daughter from this stuff. Because I don't think, obviously, Nicole knew about the kind of cover-ups and whatnot that her parents dealt in. So by telling her about the incident and maybe the cover-up, because she did say, what, do you think I would have turned him in? No, it's not that at all. I will say this much. If Martin was able to recount everything instead of repress, he would probably want to come forward. I mean, heck, the dude almost did a press conference recently. And Nicole being Nicole, she would do what she felt was best by supporting her son no matter what. And then, it would have been a lot of conflict either way. Whichever way you look, there was going to be some sort of falling out here. Some sort of falling out. Now, we go over to Jacob and Naomi, and they get into an argument. And I will say about this, even though I'm still team Jacob when it came to how he handled Danny getting arrested. Because like he said, he prevented a media shit show by handling things his way, as opposed to, the chief of police getting some rando who would bust through the front gates with sirens blaring and camera crews and everything. No, he handled it as low-key as possible to treat his mother-in-law with respect and decency. And Naomi was all pissed off about it. Now, here we go with another situation. Simply put, Jacob is telling Naomi about the situation involving Smitty possibly being involved with covering up for Martin. And then from there, he brings up, the fact that his partner found this body and it might be connected to Detective, Malone, or wait, is it Malone or Marcel? I forgot. And I'll just call him Detective. And Martin could be connected to it. But Smitty shutting down any sort of questioning and then saying something along the lines of spousal privilege does seem to make it clear that they are hiding something. Now, Naomi can't believe her cousin's involved in something like this. And then Jacob says, this is your family we're talking about. And she wants Jacob to back off and let Smitty and Martin handle this in private. So then they talk about his father, Elon. But, he's curious about his dad knowing something about the Martin and Marcel situation as well. But all this could be connected to the same dead man. And if his dad's involved, Naomi's like, if you want to look, something's going to happen if you continue to kick the hornet's nest and slow your roll. And he claims that at that moment she's being a Dupree. And she claps back by reminding him that he's one too, as is Elon. I mean, is he really though? Jacob is married into the Duprees. Here's my question. We know Jacob handles things by the book. And he doesn't like how Naomi is shielding her family from the law. But the question is, once Jacob finds out that his father is a dirty cop, would he uphold the law by bringing him down? Or will he do what Naomi's doing and is basically telling him to keep things in the family, that kind of thing. Basically give family privilege, if you will. I think that's going to be the biggest test of Jacob's character. Now, we go over to Danny's place and she and Andre are, doing the nasty. And she mentions how she had an interesting conversation with Bill tonight. And Andre wants her to run into Bill more often if it means these two end up in bed together. But the thing is, she says something interesting to Andre about he can do whomever he chooses, which could imply that she'll no longer intrude on his dates. And that's when she gets a call from the bat signal to go over to her dad's house. And speaking of fathers, Chelsea actually pops up on Bill. And the thing is, like, hey, how come you haven't settled this lawsuit about the fashion line I asked you about? And the thing is, he's been really busy. So from there, she offers to help with whatever's going on. And the thing is, using Tomas as someone who can help out instead. So this makes Bill happy. And he tells her that he loves her. And they agree that regardless of everything going on, they'll stay, close-knit to each other because she is his daughter. So I think that's pretty cool. But then again, if Chelsea finds out about the cover-up and stuff like that, any ink, kind of like with Nicole, some chance of us reconciling is gone. Now, in one of the most cringiest scenes, and this wasn't a bad scene because it played out very well, one of the cringiest things about the episode was over at the hospital. Derek shows up, and as soon as he gets out of the hospital, Ashley gives like a little nervous wave. But the thing is, Derek waves, but it's to Shanice and not her, and yikes, awkward. So he's over there to return the resistance bands, and they do a lot of flirting. Shanice is like, oh, do you need me to do a house call to help work out your kinks? And Ashley is just, man. So she gets so worked up that she makes a phone call saying that she needs backup. And from there, Derek tells Shanice that she knows how to make him smile. And I love how many people are just, cheering for Derek right now because of the fact that he went from stilted, boring, bland to look at him light up. Oh, he got some he got some chocolate in his life, and that's exactly what he needed. Like, they love Derek now. So the thing is, she mentions if Derek showed up and is showering her with compliments as a way for, her benefit or Ashley's benefit. And he's like, what if it's both? Okay, I need somebody, show of hands. Somebody come to the front of the class and just fess up. Who flipped the switch and turned this dude's swag on? What's up with that? So they over there kikiing and whatnot. And what they're doing is cardio for the soul. I'm like, well, Lord. And Derek's like, oh yeah, I'm glad to be of service. So she decides to join in the act and just gets loud with the flirtation and is making Ashley incredibly uncomfortable. So Derek is like, oh, I think this is very fun. So that's when Andre gets off the elevator. It's like, hey, what's going on? So then she turns on the fake flirting and everything. And Andre's reaction to all this is just like, Ashley, is there toast burning? Look, don't play with the symptoms of a stroke. Are you feverish? And that's when she's like, yeah, a date. Yes, a date. And she like says it so loud while just doing a weird twirl. Shanice and Derek are like, what? So yeah, see you later, alligator. And Andre's like, alligator, man, this is pathetic. She's like, I'm out of practice. So he ends up leaving. So the flirting obviously didn't work. So Derek comes by and they have a brief conversation about Andre and Shanice, and Derek admits that he likes her. And he wants Ashley to be happy, but, you know, I hope you don't hate me. And yeah, I hope you don't hate me either. So that's pretty much it. So at this point, it's like, obviously, Ashley is using Andre to make Derek jealous, it seems. And when it comes to Shanice and Derek, I ship them. I ship them. And I mean, this is just going back to the earlier episodes where Shanice said, when you're done with the firefighter, send him my way so I can heal his broken heart. Now we go over to Danny, who's at her parents' house, and they, you know, tell her the story about what went down. And it's crazy. It's crazy. The men saw him in suits on that nice night in a nice car. And regardless of what, you know, their status were in the community, they were just a bunch of, you know, derogatory black names, if you will. She's just thankful that the two of them made it out alive. Vernon says it was horrifying. And the thing is, he knows his daughters have never faced this sort of violence. And Danny tells her nephew that, you know, she loves him and is grateful the two of you made it out okay. And from there, they talk about Nicole's stance on it. And Anita tells him about Kenny being, you know, taught rape. And Anita, she killed this scene where she talks about how, you know, in our household, we taught you that violence, you know, wasn't the way to go. But you look at a person like him, and that's exactly what he was taught his whole life. Him and his brother, they were, you know, set on that path to destruction a long time ago. And they wish what had happened didn't happen. But we're just glad you two made it out and got back home instead of, you know, your names being on a tombstone or a t-shirt in remembrance of. And someone in the comments on on Twitter said that, you know, that's something people don't talk about. You know, everything is about how Nicole feels and this, that, and the third. And they're talking about Martin and his feelings. But what about Vernon and his fear? Because he was, you know, man pulled out a gun and whatnot. Here's my thing with that. And some people felt the same way. Vernon has dealt with this sort of thing before. Because remember, he was on the front lines during the civil rights movement and whatnot. You know, police brutality, racist and everything. And who knows, the hoses, dogs, possibly even guns as well. So he has more resilience than Martin. Because remember, his daughters never dealt with that sort of thing. So it's very likely Martin didn't either. You got to think about, Vernon was on them front lines with his people, dealing with all that racism, violent racism and whatnot, so that his future generations wouldn't have to. So yeah, he didn't, you know, teach his daughters about violence and whatnot. So it makes sense that he would have more of a resilience to that kind of situation. But obviously Martin backed into a corner. And like I said in one video a while ago, I think it was one of last week's videos, I said, thinking about that flashback, and how much he idolized his grandfather and heard stories about situations like this, Martin just, you know, blacked out and did what he felt he had to do to protect, you know, his own. So I love how Danny, and I like, yet again, the writers did it good. You have the rational explanation of, regardless of where we are right now in the present, thinking about what went down that night, I'm just glad you two are okay. But Nicole is making this about her, like, oh, you know, she's mad and she was lied to. But her biggest concern really stems from her son being traumatized for 2 years and she didn't know about it. So like I said, she's mad at that, but I think she's more upset at herself, you know, being a psychologist and whatnot, and not being able to cope with the idea that she missed out on clear signs. Now that's when Martin, you know, speaks up about how he's afraid he'll lose his family for good, and that's when his mom shows up, pissed off at everybody. But everybody leaves and gives Nicole and Martin the room, and they cry on each other's arms, you know, because Martin was wondering if his mom would forgive him. But the thing is, she promises everything will be okay. Mommy's here, and she asks him to sleep on the situation, and tomorrow she'll help him, you know, get through this. But she leaves, and then that's when Martin texts his kids that, you know, he loves them. And I was able to screen grab the text saying, you learned some things tonight, hard things, life is like that. Just remember, I love both of you beyond all measure. Wash your face, Get some sleep, and tomorrow's another day. Love always, Pop. So that's when Bill stops by Ted's and they have a drink and talk about everything that's going on. And Ted's like, look, I might need to hire you as a divorce lawyer. It's like, hey, that's not my specialty, but I know somebody. Andrea Barnes from Tyler Perry's Sisters. Okay, just kidding. But Bill mentions how he'll text the info. Ted explains, Nicole and what happened tonight, and asks like, why did everybody tell her now? But that's when Bill stops him and just says like, that racist is dead. And Bill then says that the thing is, she still doesn't know the whole story, and I think it's better that way. And they mention how they both have connections on the police force, so they're grateful Jacob's not on the case because they know he's straight-laced. Now, Nicole goes over to Danny's house, and she offers her sister cookies, so Danny gives her a drink instead. I love how she starts off with that because she knows Nicole is that kind of person. You want a cookie? You want a drink? And the thing is, I hate what Nicole is going through right now, and I know a lot of people are divisive on her reaction to things. I just hate how so much of her life have shifted in the past few weeks, from the affair to almost losing Laura to a pseudo daughter and Eva betraying her, and now finding out the Martin situation. Everything is happening so fast. Everything is happening so fast. She just misses who they were before, like the Bill cheating and Danny's divorce. And the thing is, Danny asked her not to push her away, and they hug. So, I mean, what should she be mad at Danny about for? The Andre thing? That she didn't know about the Martin thing. So yeah, this is a wild episode. Definitely worthy of a score. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.